pretty funny, guys. Another pizza? I'd like the entire thing. Okay, wow, everyone left. What do you do? So you're okay. Then I should just know that.
The girl in the purple shirt. I've never been in like an organization. I guess she always does like really small episodes. The thing is like we'll go to 10.
You can do that.
I just glaze over if it works tonight. But today's I'm gonna knock it over.
Does anyone need nuts? No, that is the opposite of what I meant. Okay. I think everyone is ignoring this embarrassing the napkin problem.
Kelly.
You need like a more napkin?
Okay guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. So if you're standing up and chatting, go ahead and take a seat. Awesome. Okay, so our first group is going to be accessing resources 2. And everyone, 1. Accessing resources 1. Go for it.
Okay, so we're accessing resources 1, and we're going to be showing an example of what bad BCP is. So, John Henry, I'm the LT services.
Oh yeah, and everyone introduce yourselves at the beginning of your speech.
I'm Steve.
I'm Jeremy, first year.
I'm Juliet, I'm a fourth year.
I'm Daniela, I'm a first year.
I'm Ellen, I'm a second year.
I'm Angel, I'm a first year.
I'm Melinda, I'm a first year.
So, we're get half of us, some of us will be students and half will be teachers. So, just keep that in mind.
So I have a question. I heard that using 2 condoms is better than 1, because
2 is better than 1, right?
Yeah, 2's always better than 1. I mean, double bagging works with shopping bags, so it'll definitely work.
Cool.
I think that if you have sex in the shower, it doesn't count, right? Because the water washes everything away.
Yeah, that's definitely true. But something that most people don't know is the water has to be like ice cold. Like if it's normal.
Yeah, my cousin told me that he got his girlfriend pregnant, even though he told that before he finished. Is that like possible?
Yeah, I mean, he just wasn't fast enough, so. It used to be practice makes perfect, so just time to keep on trying. That's what we need. I actually taught last year with a guy who, his name was the Retractor. He prides himself on pulling out really well, so if you have any questions, he can email noah@hellman.
I'm not sure how I feel about these answers. Is there somewhere that I can find more information?
Yes, there is. Online, you can find everything you need to know. There are lots of great websites like Yahoo Answers, Urban Dictionary, Pornhub, and everyone's favorite, Pinterest. Now, I remember when I was in your shoes. It was a hard time, and I looked up everything I needed to know on the internet. Like, for instance, a lot of people don't know that Diet Coke is a natural spermicide. You can juice with that after sex, you won't get pregnant. But what a lot of people forget about is that kissing, French kissing, tongue contact can actually get you pregnant as well. So it's important to wear a condom if you're
Yeah, that's just good.
No, you're not. So there is context for that? Oh, God. Oh, sorry about your equipment. Nick, just I'm just going to use it.
Alright, so while they're setting up, we are Communication and Advocacy 3, and I am the LC, and my name is Nick Lyons, and my initials are N, L, and mine is pointy and has a lot of spikes.
My name is Greg Myers. I'm a 4th year. My initials are G, M, and mine works about half the time.
My name is Lisa. My initials are L, E, and mine vibrates. My name is Nimrata, and my initials are N, G, and mine is Smooth.
My name is Sarah, and I'm a 3rd year. My initials are S, R, and mine is bright pink and kind of leafy.
My name is Audrey, and I'm a 4th year, and my initials are A and S, and mine is orange and mini.
My name is Kim, and my initials are K, B, and I flash mine to get in.
Very close to Christina. Right, so M. And mine squirts liquid.
What's in your
What workshop group are you guys?
It's not important. Communication and Advocacy 3.
Make you all feel comfortable.
Obviously.
You're uncomfortable.
Wait.
I think I saw more. We said that at the beginning of the workshop.
Okay, who's up next?
That's why you can't
Do you guys want to go next? Let's do
Well, is everyone back?
wait. Is everyone back? Everyone's back. Some people are eating pizza, but that's fine.
We doing it? Alright.
So we are decision making tree. My name's Aparna. I'm the LC. Can you introduce yourself?
Oh, perfect
Go ahead and introduce yourself. This is Colin. I'm Colin. I'm an HE. I'm Rachel. I'm an HE.
I'm Mary, I'm an HE as well.
I'm Brenda, I'm AG.
I'm Seth. I'm an HE. I'm Kelly. I'm a she.
I'm Noah, and I'm also a she. So I'm gonna need a volunteer for this one. It's a pretty tricky question. Sadly, I don't have any candy to give out, but I need one person to raise their hand and let me know what day today is. What day of the week? Yes?
Friday.
Today is Friday, exactly. Does anybody here, again, I'd like somebody to raise their hand and tell me what we do on Friday? Do we party and yeah? Does that ring any bells with anyone?
Okay, so as Rebecca, which seat should I take? Should I take the front seat or the back seat?
Let's unpack. The first step of the 4 C's is to identify our choices. Rebecca has kindly told us that 2 choices are the front seat and the back seat. Can anyone think of one more choice? Yes.
Not to get in at all.
Not to get in at all. She's at the bus stop. Front seat, back seat. Oh, sorry. Kicking in the front seat, sitting in the back seat, catching the bus.
What are my consequences of sitting in the sitting in the front and kicking in the back? She had kicking in the front. In the back.
Consequences? So, yeah, anybody have it? It's clearer in the video because everyone in the car is clearly 13 years old. Yes.
Kicking in the front seat could distract the driver.
It does have that possible consequence, yeah. Anybody else?
I would like to add that there's no actual space in the front seat, so
Yeah, so the front seat, yeah, seems like there's some consequences there on the front seat.
There are cute boys in the back, though. Who knows what will happen?
Yeah. We're not sure. All right.
And the last is, what do I care about?
What do you care about, Rebecca? I mean, I don't really see how this could affect your bowl or your cereal, so we don't need to worry about that. But I understand what you like.
Party.
Yeah,
party,
and
party. Yeah.
Do you want to have fun?
Fun.
I want you to think about how those consequences can affect these things that you care about when you make this decision.
Okay.
What decision do you make?
Back seat. Yeah, I picked the back seat.
So Rebecca chooses the back seat. And to this
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go next.
Are we ready? Do I have
Yeah, no seconds yet, guys. We'll have pieces out of this.
Good luck, guys. At least you're
Alright, I'm Steph. I'm the LC for
Turn down the volume and then plug it in.
What?
Turn down the volume, plug it in, and then play it.
Okay, I'm Steph. I'm the LC for Sexy Reflections. Hi, I'm Madison. I'm a she. I'm Gary. I'm a she. Hi, I'm Sylvia. I'm Seksha. I'm also a she.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Avery, I'm a AG.
I'm Claire and I'm a she. Okay, cool.
Alright, Avery, it's been about a week now, and we met each other at Miniature at DU. I really like how this is going. We're on the dance floor. We did stuff. And, I really like you. I really think this is going to a good place, and I think we should have sex.
Wow, I'm telling your mom.
1 week, boy, yo, let me think. So many influences that I have. Let's think there's my mom. What would she think?
Oh, my mom would be happy.
It's really important to save yourself for that special someone. I don't know if you really have you seen his beard? Seems a little bit suspicious.
Love some of my friends. Let me call one now.
Well, isn't it kind of important to get rid of your V card before, like, you hit second year? I feel like that's kind of a crucial thing.
She's aiming for you. This is your best interest. Let's think. Seems like I'm under a lot of pressure.
It's not working. Turn up the light. I turned up the light.
Quick step. Solo.
What are you playing, Steph?
Under pressure.
I'm not
Theoretically, David Bowie's Under Pressure would be playing right now. You just can't hear it very well. Great. It's both of them, right?
Now, as I'm so trying to sing, I will not have sex with you, Ryan. You guys want to go? Are we ready? Here.
You did the gesture loud.
Wait, do I want to drink this beer? I definitely had more than the FDA recommended amount for the night. I definitely had like 6 or 7 Natty Lights. So I'm like, definitely trying to make the like bang for the buck. Like I paid $5, you know. LOL, JK, I didn't pay the $5. But if I drink this, I'll feel super confident and like awesome, and I'll be able to get up on the tables and like totally kill it. But I might lose control and like black out or brown out or like, I don't know, get really hurt and lose control of like my bodily functions. So, using my really good judgment and everything Pure Health Exchange has taught me, I'm not gonna take this drink. Rage on.
give me some. Prick the freckles off your face. Put your freaking swapping tongue. Click my niggas, patch your buns. Lose your dinner, make it
Are you trying to offer me marijuana?
Right.
Also
Gotcha.
known as
Oh,
Mary
she-
Jane? I've
That now.
but like, do I really want to be cool?
I don't want to be cool, that's why I smoke.
You're right. I saw not Mary Jane. I saw Rihanna the other day with weed on her shirt. So obviously, I really want to be like her. But I also saw this sign as I was driving down the highway, and it said, "Success pointed this way, and weed pointed that way."
It's all propaganda.
And I'm thinking, I really want to be successful, but like, I've always wanted to smoke Mary Jane. What do I do? Isn't it illegal? Can I have legal repercussions that follow me for the rest of my life? Like jail? Or like juvenile delinquent center? You're right. I should use my good judgment and the influence from my policeman father. Not smoke the Mary Jane. I win because I get to rage without having negative side effects like jail.
no more hope in addition. I'm about to flip my kid. Sticking in the ignition. So give me that. I'm gonna give you that. Running on
Tonight, and then all the others are going to happen tomorrow as a retreat. So who would like to do their skit tonight?
Where one could go. Yeah, but it's hard to smoke on it. You know what? Just go all the way down the line. It's like a harmonic. But no, I didn't have a rebuttal. Oh, I hadn't thought about
Alright, hey guys. We are accessing resources too. We focus on health clinics and stuff like that. My name is Helen, I'm the LC.
I'm Ariel. I'm Leanne. I'm a she.
I'm Victoria, I'm a she.
I'm Holly. I'm an he.
I'm Izzy, I'm an HE.
I'm Amelia. I'm an he.
I'm Stratton, I'm
I'm Danielle. I'm an he.
I'm Nathan, and I immediately regret this
On a warm and productive evening, fifth week evening, here on the beautiful University of Chicago campus, Dorothy lay napping in Harvard. Suddenly, the polar vortex comes, down, and brings her all the way to the lonely and desolate land that is Evanston.
You know what I could really use right now? Some pregnancy prevention advice. Where can I find such information?
Thus, Dorothy makes her way down the yellow brick road. And on her quest, she is met with the trees of judgment.
Shame.
Obviously, they're trees.
Luckily for Dorothy, we have a peer health exchange educator ready to help her out.
Don't worry, Dorothy. Pure
our clinics are all confidential, and there's nothing to be ashamed of about wanting to learn more. Let's move along.
Down the yellow brick road they go. Next you encounter the flying monkeys of cost.
Don't have any money to pay these monkeys.
Don't worry again, Dorothy. On our PHE website, you can find a ton of free or low-cost clinics to get the informational resources you need. Get out of here.
Oh no, it's the winky guards that happen to represent
Physical barriers.
Alright. This is a tough one for Dorothy.
Yeah, can't get around it. But luckily, like on the PHE website, we can find a ton of other clinics that are easier for you to get to. So we'll just go around.
Yeah.
Go around. We're here.
We have arrived at whatever we
President Zimmer
The
happened
Emerald
to be in the
Clinic.
midst of that day.
Yeah.
I'm the nurse practitioner at the Emerald Clinic. What are you here for today, Dorothy?
I need pregnancy prevention advice.
Well,
There's more than one in this oven.
there's a lot of pregnancy prevention tips like condoms and female condoms. But I think if you click your heels, you'll realize that it was there all the time.
Oh look! Female condom! Exactly what I needed. It's a happy day for Dorothy.
This group has not gone yet. Raise their hand. Just the LCs. Four and syringe. Oh, I see. Okay, so 5. Okay, so we might be able to fit in a couple more tonight, but we want to go ahead and move on to the next section just to make sure we get through it and get you guys out on time. So we might come back to these kids later tonight, and if we don't get to them tonight, we'll get to them tomorrow. So with that, we're going to hand off the next section to Claire again. And thank you guys so much for this.
The computers that PHE gives us are very state-of-the-art and turn on really fast. The technology is great. Okay. Thank you guys for all those skills. They were really awesome, and I liked that there was some factual health information included. That's great. Start planning your workshops. So now I'm going to take some time to talk to you about your responsibilities and guidelines as in your role as volunteers for PHE this year. So the structure that Mimi and Sam already a little bit talked about. We have co-coordinators, leadership council members, SHEs, and HEs. And so what the role of the CCs is already talked about, but they do a lot in terms of time commitment as well. I meet with them for an hour and a half every Monday. They plan and execute the LC meeting. They work with your LCs to fill all your workshops, and then your LCs as well have another meeting on Monday. They train you during your workshop group meeting, and then your SHEs also take a mentorship role, and then we're also asking them to have a hands-on role in our pilot this year as well. Does anyone have any questions about the structure? Let's think of it as a tree. So I'm far underground supporting you. But the idea is that we're not a top-down sort of organization. Like, I'm very available by email and text. I want to hear from you guys. If you have questions, concerns, problems, you want to talk about your career advice, letter of recommendation, I'm the person you talk to. As well as you can reach out to your SHEs, your LCs, if you're a new HE, and also your CCs. We're strive to be the kind of organization that is flexible and makes our program work for Chicago and for University of Chicago. And feedback you'll hear a lot about tomorrow, but I want to start emphasizing it now. Like, it's something that's integral to our program. Hearing from you guys what's going on in the classroom, what you need to be the best teacher is the best way that I can do my job. And I really encourage you to reach out to me and open a channel of communication if you need to do so. So your responsibility as a health educator is to become a workshop expert and to become a workshop manager. So part of this is assessed through the content test and the teaching skills evaluation, as well as when you observe your first workshop during the week when we teach introductory workshops, and then when you go into the classroom and teach once a week. So part of being a good volunteer and being a good teacher is adhering to the volunteer guidelines. So attendance and punctuality are really important because if you can't make it to your workshop group on time, then it's hard to think about how you might make it to a classroom on time. And one of the worst possible things to experience as a teacher is to be in front of a classroom of 30 kids with no lesson plan. And you being on time avoids that. So we actually expect you guys to not only be on time, but to be a couple minutes early so you can introduce yourself to the host teacher, and if necessary, ask them to erase the whiteboard, or get ready and get to the headspace you need to be in to be a good educator. Communication. So we talked about this a little bit when I talked about feedback, but your LCs, especially when we come into workshop scheduling, will probably be texting and emailing you to fill workshop holes. You're going to have to communicate with them if you get sick or something happens and you can't make your workshop so we can get a replacement to get there on time. As well as just in terms of training, to be in touch with them about what you need to do for your workshop group meeting, and then they in turn, especially with workshop scheduling, communicate with me. And I really cannot emphasize this enough. It makes everyone's lives so much easier if you accurately and quickly communicate, especially when it comes to scheduling. In a workshop group meeting with the community, you'll be asked to input your availability for workshop scheduling, and it's really important that's accurate because if something happens, like last year, a volunteer got into a car accident on the way to a workshop, and that's horrible. We don't want that to happen. We want to be able to know, we want to know your cell phone number is right in there, so if you don't show up, we can call you and figure out where you are, if you're in a ditch, if you're on the highway, if you're late, if you're sick. Hopefully you know that didn't happen, she gets into a ditch. She's got rear-ended, it's fine. She lived, no one was hurt. No one went to the hospital. It's kind of like my scary example, I guess. But it's just really important that that information is accurate so that we can have good communication and make the program smoother. Curriculum fidelity. So our curriculum is pretty freely structured this year. There's no scripted language that you're required to say, but it's really important that you know the health content to a T. Kids are going to ask you all sorts of questions, which is why, one, it's important you know the workshop material in your workbook, but also that you know that you have a tool which we'll be showing you in a couple of workshop group meetings called the Teen Health Resource Card. This has clinics, a map of clinics, hotlines, and websites that teens can go to access information about any of the topics we teach. So whenever a teen asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, you can be like, whip out your Teen Health Resource Card, I'll show you where to find it. It'll be a really useful tool for you in the classroom, but it's also really important because you might be the only sort of health information teens are going to get the entire year. And if you tell them the IUD is an implant that goes in their arm and the implant is the IUD, they're going to believe you. And that's bad. I don't want you guys to tell them the IUD is an implant or that you can actually use 2 condoms or there are no legal consequences of marijuana, right? Like you need to be content experts, and that's something that the content test is going to evaluate. Evaluation. So back to what Glennon said, we also ask that you be an active part in evaluation. So responding whether or not you can do focus groups, giving feedback, even when it's unasked for. If you teach a workshop and you think there's something I need to know about, something really good, or something that really bad, an activity you think went wrong, there's a punctuation missing or a comma missing in your workshop, I want to know about it so we can fix it and make it better for whoever else is teaching that workshop next. Appropriate conduct, so that means it goes back to professionalism, showing up on time, being appropriately dressed, interacting in a way with the students that's respectful and appropriate. And I think this should be pretty self-evident. I haven't had any problems ever with volunteers at University of Chicago not appropriately conducting themselves in high school, and I don't expect to. Answering student questions.
So this goes back to curriculum fidelity and the teen health resource group. It's really important to never guess at something when you don't know the answer. It's okay to say, I have no idea, let's find a website that you can check that out on, or let's find a number you can call, or this will be addressed in another workshop. You don't want to make something up on the spot, even though you may feel the impulse to because you want to be the expert, right? You're in the class, all these kids are looking at you. But it's really important that you just admit not to knowing rather than give them information that's not true. Confidentiality and crisis response. So we're talking about sensitive information in PHE. And a lot of times you might have a student come up to you, or it might come up in class where they tell you something that may insinuate that their life's in danger. So the student tells you they're having thoughts about hurting themselves, suicidal thoughts. If they tell you they've experienced abuse, rape, sexual, physical, verbal abuse, anything like that, while you're not mandated reporters, we have a really strict emergency protocol so that we make sure that that teen gets the care they need. So it's in your volunteer training manual, but I want to go over it now. If a teen ever does that to you, you want to make sure that you talk to the host teacher about it before you leave. If you have the opportunity, if it's not your turn to teach and the students are doing an activity, and you can talk to the host teacher then, it's really important to do so because they're mandated reporters and they'll go through the official CPS channels to make sure that students refer to the counselor, the guidance counselor. You want to make sure you get the student's physical description, their name if possible. Sometimes a teen may not want to tell you their name. You can just ask them for their first name. That's why it's really important to talk to the teacher before you leave because the teacher is going to know that student's name. Yeah.
What if the teacher is a substitute?
That's a great question. So in that case, we have these emergency protocol cards. We're going to distribute it at next week's workshop group meeting, I believe. And those have our site coordinators for every high school that we teach at on them. So if that happens, and you might not know where that site coordinator is, a lot of times they're more administrative positions, they don't have it in the classroom, you can call them and let them know. You can say, I'm a Peer Health Exchange volunteer. We actually have one high school where it's called Chicago Vocational Academy, and the site coordinator there actually asks that our volunteers call her every time. We'll talk about that more in depth at a workshop group meeting. It's also will be on the community so you can see. So if there's a substitute and they don't know the name, then it's even more important for you to try to get the name of the student. If that's not possible, if the student's very adamant not to tell you the name, you don't want to like force them. It's hard. I can't give you a a black and white answer of what to do, but usually students are comfortable giving you their names, and they'll also have name tags. So at least you'll be able to get their first name. And then after you talk to the teacher, when your workshop's over, you need to call me immediately. Like as you're walking out of the school, you need to call me so I can call the site coordinator. And this way, we go from both angles to make sure that the teacher knows that they have to report and that I know and I can follow up with the site coordinator. And this is something that happened probably like 15 or 16 times last year, and we were able to get the students referred to the services that they needed to, and try and get them the best care that they could. And it's just really important that you guys are there and you're able to give that information because a lot of times this information you don't feel comfortable telling their teacher or telling their guidance counselor. You may be the only person they feel telling them or feel comfortable telling you because they may not have known what they've experienced is any sort of abuse before. So that's why I'm talking your ear off about this emergency protocol, but it is really important. And then finally, volunteer safety. So you teach your workshops in pairs, one, moral support, but also it's helpful to go with someone. So we teach all over the south side of Chicago. A lot of people have negative impressions of those neighborhoods, but I've gone to each and every one of our schools. They're completely safe. You're safe in a zip car. Most of our schools are driving schools because of distance and unreliability of public transportation. I think we have 2 schools that are public transit, just a straight shot on the bus. You're going during the school day, so you're not going to be there during dark hours. There's always parking at the schools, and the directions on the PHE community have usually the fastest, most efficient route to get there. You can also use Google Maps, but it's always in your best interest to make sure you're checking the PHE community for directions because sometimes Google Maps might have like an error and you pick the wrong school that has like the same name, which happened sometimes last year. And then you're going to be late for your workshop. But overall, we want you to feel safe, not only when you're in the classroom, but when you're going to the classroom. And I've visited almost every single one of our I have visited all of everyone. It's been a long time talking for like 3 hours, I'm sorry. I've gone to every single one of our partner high schools, and I've seen workshops at most of them. And they're safe, the teachers are happy to see you. If you have any other concerns, you feel free to talk to me. but PHE wants to work in your best interest, and if you ever have any doubts or want to let me know something's going on, please feel free to let me know, but yeah. Does anyone have any questions about the volunteer guidelines? Okay, and if you do have questions, you can ask your LC, you can ask me after the training. So, communication, this is my work cell phone number. You guys should write these all down right now. Oh, LCs have it. Put these in your phone, so if you're late to a workshop or something comes up the night before, that kind of thing, you want to call Mimi and Sam, they're your co-coordinators. You want to call me if you have an emergency protocol issue, or if something happens at a level you feel you need to talk to me. Like I said, it's my cell phone, you can text me too. I haven't input everyone's new phone number yet from your application, so it doesn't hurt to say, hey, it's so-and-so. Otherwise, I'll be like, it's okay, who is this? I want to help you. But yeah, I'll just give you another like 15 seconds to do that. And you can also get these numbers from your LCs as well, if you don't just give them to me. Okay, so now I'm going to go into our high school orientation. And in this part of our training, we're going to talk about the partner high schools we work with, the landscape of CPS, and how peer health exchange functions within this landscape. Okay, and we're also going to get to see a super cool panel of your awesome LCs talk about their experiences teaching. So could I have someone read for me the 3 objectives that are on the PowerPoint slide? Yeah, what's your name?
Maya.
Maya, thank you, Maya.
Volunteers will be able to describe some of the differences between high schools and their communities, explain how their role as PHE volunteers fits into a broader education and community support system for teens in their city, and apply LC and CC experience in preparing to teach at PHE partner high schools.
Awesome, thanks so much for reading those. So hopefully after this training, you will be able to do those 3 objectives. We're going to do some cool activities as well to explore the relationships and influences in teens' lives. So in your orange folder, there is a handout called a high school orientation handout, and there's going to be a map on here. You may not be able to see it, so I'd like you to pull out that handout right now. Okay, it looks like almost everybody has their handout out, so if I can have all eyes back on me. Okay, so CPS is the 3rd largest school district in the country, and it has over 400,000 students. There are 105 high schools, of which Peer Health Exchange serves 33 of those. So we actually come into contact with about a third of all of Chicago's 9th graders, which is pretty cool. The Office of Health and Wellness is the office that, as a nonprofit, we interact with the most. They improve student health and academic outcomes through health policy. So if you're into public health, they're looking at high school dropout rate as a public health issue, violence as a public health issue. And they do things like healthy school certification. So healthy school means we have to get them like whole grain sandwiches if we do a focus group and we can't give them that anymore. They have like nutritional requirements. PE policy, that's something new in CPS. It used to be that you only had to do PE if you were a freshman or a sophomore, and they actually are extending it to 4 years. And about 80% of CPS high schoolers are now enrolled through this new policy, which is really great because not every school has a gym. And I saw a presentation yesterday from someone at CPS, and they said a gym is just a space, but PE is education. That was interesting. So given that, it's really great that 80% of teens are in gym. The sexual health education policy, which is K through 12. So kindergarten through 4th grade has 300 minutes of sexual health education, and 5th through 12th grade has 675. And this is all age appropriate. It's a lot of anatomy, good touch, bad touch, boundaries, healthy relationships. So it's not just what people typically think of as sexual health. And yeah.
Oh, just the minutes are per year?
Yes, it's per year. So this is a new initiative that rolled out last year, and the goal is that it's social, emotional, as well as what you typically think of as sex education. And then school-based health centers. We actually have one school this year that has a school-based health center, and the idea of it, CPS wants to get more of those. And if you're in Access and Resources, you can understand why that's really awesome, because you can just visit the health clinic during your lunch break. And then I'd like you guys to take, before I go on, does anyone have any questions about CPS or anything I just went over? And if I'm talking to you guys, just please tell me to slow down. Okay, so now I'd like you to take 2 minutes to brainstorm some different kinds of Chicago public schools you may have heard of, you may think of, and you can turn to the person sitting next to you to do this.
Selective enrollment schools.
Excellent. Wait, I want to call you too many times, sorry.
There's charter schools.
Yep. Yeah. What's your name, sorry?
Melinda.
Melinda.
Neighborhood schools.
Uh-huh. There's a couple more. Yeah.
I think there was a military school.
Yep. Awesome. So that's pretty much every single type of CPS school we have. My clicker on the wrong thing. I've got this down. Okay, cool. Oh, man. So neighborhood, like Melinda said, charter schools, selective enrollment, also magnet schools, which are pretty similar, and then military academies, which often have like the khakis, gotta wear a uniform, they're all JROTC, that kind of stuff. So within your workshop groups, I'd like you to take 3 minutes to brainstorm some of the defining characteristics that these 4 schools might have. And I'm going to put another slide while you discuss that has a couple categories to spark your conversation. Does anyone have any questions? So, in your 3-minute discussion, I'd like you to specifically think about these 4 different characteristics. Okay? I'll let you know when you have 30 seconds left. Awesome. Get to it.
If you want to, like, how about
Yeah, that might have been. And it's just really interesting.
How about you here?
Okay, let's bring it back up here now that you guys have had minutes to discuss. If you're standing up, please. So, within your group discussions, what were some of the characteristics that you came up with for different types of schools? We'll talk about each one individually going on. I just want to hear your general reactions and impressions. Yeah, back. What's your name? Sorry.
Avery.
Avery. Cool.
I guess like if it's a neighborhood school, then you get all the kids from that neighborhood, so it's more reflective of the area that it's in, whereas like charter schools and military schools are just select kids.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Although, Sometimes charter schools, they don't handpick their kids, it's like a lottery. Yeah.
So selective enrollment is pretty much based on like admissions tests, and like you can come throughout the city to do it, and they tend to be leading toward more well-off families, but they've been trying to change that. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of selective enrollment schools are clustered on the north side. Do you have a couple other things that came up? Yeah, great.
There can be a pretty large difference in kind of the discipline culture from school to school. So a public school might be more casual, whereas a military academy has very strict rules.
That's an excellent point. That would definitely impact the school culture as well, as a whole. Okay, well, we can move on to the next slide. Other way?
Yeah.
It's okay. You're doing it just about as good as I was, so. There, you're on the right one. I see it on here. Yeah. It's on here. Oh. There we go, perfect. Stay there. Okay, so neighborhood schools, leadership, they're within underneath the Chicago Public Schools. The teachers there are typically unionized teachers, Chicago's Teachers Union. You might have seen a lot of stuff in the news last year about the strikes with the school closing and issues with Chicago's Teachers Union. Like Maya said, they pull from the surrounding neighborhood, so if you live within a specific radius of a neighborhood school, you are guaranteed a spot. And then culture. Some have JROTC programs, which is junior ROTC, but they're very dependent on the individual school, reflective of the neighborhood. And we teach at Robeson is a great example of a neighborhood school that UChicago teaches at. Selective enrollment, they're also within the CPS network. They also have Chicago Teachers Unions, but they are merit-based, so you have to test into them, and they're highly competitive. You have to write essays. It's almost like a college application to get into high school. And then they're also very academic, but they also draw from all over the city. So like Jones Prep, or I think Parker is selective enrollment. Lindblom, if you're a she, you might have taught at Lindblom last year. They're a selective enrollment academy on the south side. Military Academy, also within CPS. They may have some military backgrounds, so like Greg said, they have really intense kind of regimented discipline structure. And actually at Chicago Military Academy we teach at, both of our host teachers are former sergeants. They're also sometimes they're selective admission, not always. They can draw from the neighborhood. They're often more reflective of the community. And then finally, very strict dress code. So those are the schools we ask you to wear khaki pants to. And I actually had the principal, CMA, specifically tell me that we needed to remind you guys more to wear khaki pants. But so it's a much more disciplined school. It's like an ROTC program in college. And then charter schools, so independent organization. There's a lot of charter schools in Chicago. The charter school movement nationally is really big. I went to college at Tulane, and it's actually one of the only public school districts that's only charter school networks as a result of Hurricane Katrina. A lot of young new teachers, Chicago Teaching Fellows, Teach for America program or participants. A lot of times are teachers there. It's based on a random lottery typically with admission, and they can pull from all over the city. And then they have a unique culture, like Perspective Leadership Academy. Their motto is like a disciplined life. Noble School Network has like the Noble Way, KIPP, Uncommon Schools. They all have a specific philosophy. They usually have one founder. A lot of times they're privately funded as well as publicly funded. Like the Gates Foundation gives a lot of money to charter schools. And like Greg said, actually they can be very flexible, but also you'll see a lot of uniforms, a lot of walking in single lines a lot of times. And they're all they vary pretty much. And then I also wanted to talk about the turnaround schools, which is AUSL. So essentially this was I think a result of their title behind, I may be wrong, but there's a detailed explanation of those schools within your packet. But essentially what happened at these schools schools is CPS was like, whatever you're doing isn't working, we're firing everyone and bringing in a new administration. And this can cause a lot of tension. So sometimes these schools might have a tenuous relationship between staff who are allowed to stay, new staff, and new administration. They typically pull from surrounding neighborhood as well, and I don't know how much you may see this in the classroom, but it's just a really interesting and unique part of CPS that, Steph.
Yeah, what are examples of the AUSL type schools that we teach at?
I honestly don't know off the top of my head. They may be in the document, but I can provide some more resources about them if you want as well. It's like in terms of like school programming and like Chicago, like the Chicago CEO of the schools, Barbara Bird Bennett, and different neighborhood schools. It's very contentious. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people think it's a good idea, but it's definitely worth more research. So, how do you think these varying environments will impact your role as a PHE volunteer? So what may be different from walking to a charter school versus a public school or a community school?
Yeah, it definitely affects the amount of participation we get from people along with that live long because they're very excited and eager to participate. Whereas it might be more difficult to engage students in other schools.
Yeah, I would also though caution you in saying generalizing that to a school because it may also be dependent on the host teacher. So you could have a host teacher that was way better at creating that culture in the classroom. Yeah.
Well, I was just saying related to that like the host teacher is one of the things that can vary from often depending on like what type of school it is. Like a lot of times I've noticed that at neighborhood schools the teachers are a little bit more like relaxed about a lot of things, and at like charter schools it's not usually the case.
Other thoughts? Yeah, sorry.
It can like impact how well you feel like you're reaching the students that you're teaching to. Like if the student is at like CMA, you might feel like the class is more disciplined, so you might feel like you're getting out like all your information more effectively. Whereas if like it's not as disciplined and there's more like disruptions in the classroom, you might feel like you didn't get to like tell all the students what you wanted to tell them as well as you like would have liked to.
Definitely. Yeah, Leilani.
I think it's sort of like a more kind of negative context in that knowing the difference between like schools and like what characteristics they might have, we might have preconceived notions going into them. I know some people who are like, oh, I'm going to neighborhood school today, I have to teach a certain way. And I think that can sort of affect our teaching poorly if we, aren't approaching each class the same way.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think that's an excellent point. So by knowing these differences in schools helps you know how that school may run and understand its culture. But when you get into that classroom, you really truly may not know how that works. And it's to your best interest to go in to teach every class the best you can, hold yourself and the students to the highest standard, no matter what you may have already researched about that type of school. So a lot of this you guys just covered. Dress code, student understanding. Also, I think that Victoria touched on classroom management. So like with ROTC, you may have said everything you needed to say. Maybe with a different school with more classroom management challenges about that expectation of silence, of raising hands. You're going to have to work a little harder to do that. And then the relationship with Peer Health Exchange, how they view us as an organization, how they view you as a volunteer coming to the classroom. And then AUSL as well could also potentially impact that if they're already in a shifting environment with their teachers just changed, may impact your ability to build a relationship as well. So the PHE community has more information on each school, and I encourage you to look more into your school before you go teach it as well. So our partner high schools, you can check out this map as well in your packet if you want a clear view. But on this map, you can see through Northwestern DePaul, UIC, and Chicago, we cover almost all parts of Chicago, northwest and south sides. The need, where we can expand the most, is in the south side, which is part of the reason why Chicago PHE grew so big this year. But if you are interested in cross-city teaching, you will definitely have an opportunity to go check out a school in a different part of the city. It's a cool reason to cross different, well, I guess get out of Hyde Park, really. Go a little farther north. but these are our primary high schools. I could not tell you where they are or the name by the dot, but they're also in your packet. So these are our high schools. Amandla Charter School, James Spelman, CMA, CVCA, Harlan, John Hope, which is a new partner school. PLA, which has been a partner school in the past, but last year UIC taught there, although they're on 81st Street, so I don't really know why that happened. And Robeson, Team Englewood, and Daniel Hale Williams Prep. So we have a pretty large range. We have charter schools, I don't actually think we have selective enrollment, but we have military academy and schools. So why do you think we call our schools partner schools? And I'd like you to take 1 minute to silently individually reflect on this. Okay, so now you've got a minute to think about it individually. I'd like to hear some of your responses. Why do you think we have partner in Charter School?
I think it just goes back to that this is peer health exchange, and that we really are trying to be on the same level.
Yeah, excellent. You want to be on the same level. Chase.
I think it can be pretty easy to fall into like a mindset of superiority, coming from the fact that we're like in college, it's like a prestigious university. But we shouldn't go in thinking that we're like saviors and like teaching people that need to know this stuff. We teach them what to say.
Excellent. I like that. Saviors. We don't want to do that. We want to come in there as a peer. Megan, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say the success of the program as a whole depends not just on us, but also on school letting us come in and facilitating us while we're there, as well as like on the service. So it's like a whole partnership, not just us doing our own thing.
Yeah, exactly. If teachers didn't give up 1 day a week, we would not be able to teach. Yeah.
And as partners, we also have certain expectations for each other. Like, we expect that the teacher and the administration to support us in actions in ways, and they have expectations for our behavior in the classroom.
Yeah, I really like that you brought that up. So we ask them to do things for us. They ask us to do things for them. We want to make sure that we're meeting them in the middle and actually working with them. So now that we have kind of discussed how and why it's important that we consider these schools our partners, we're going to do an activity to identify the different levels of influence that may influence a teen's ability to be healthy. And some of you may remember this, the gallery walk from last year. It's a little different. But we're going to talk about how a teen can be influenced in 4 levels: individual, relationship, community, and society. So this is this beautiful levels of influence that Colleen, our program assistant who is getting her master's in public health, put together. This is something that's used a lot when talking about public health. Can anyone read those, or is that? Okay, so can I have someone read for me the box that corresponds to individual? Yeah.
Biological or genetic factors that influence health, individual beliefs, opinions, mental/emotional health.
Awesome. Someone read relationship for me. Yes, Aparna.
Beliefs and opinions of family or friends, behavior that is demonstrated by family or friends, availability of emotional support.
Awesome. How about community? Yeah, what's your name?
Jeff.
Sorry, you say name?
Jeff.
Josh?
Jeff.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jeff.
Poverty, resources available in schools,
access to medical services, high crime levels, availability of drugs and alcohol, presence of community-based organizations.
Awesome. And can someone read the last one in society? Yeah, Helen.
Health education policies, societal or cultural norms that promote sexual behavior, availability of health insurance or Medicaid.
Thank you. Thanks guys for reading those. So these 4 levels of influence are all important factors in the decisions a teen makes and the ability they have to make healthy decisions for themselves. So it's important to figure out where we as Peer Health Exchange fit within these levels of influences and also understand the other influences that are existing around us. So we're going to do, like I said, the gallery walk. So we're going to do this by workshop cluster, and we're going to brainstorm influencing factors that correspond to each of these levels: relationship, individual, society, and community. And I know that we've got big groups, so for communication and advocacy, I'd like to split up by the workshop pairing. So for CA 1 and 3 and CA 2 and 4, you guys are going to be a group. And what you're going to do is you're going to have 6 minutes to discuss within your clusters and write down different influences on these easel papers. The second communication advocacy group can either choose to do a second poster of these, or second level, or you can discuss the intersections of those two choices. So could I have 1 LC from each workshop group cluster and 2 from community advocacy come and meet me here to get their poster boards and marker?
Megan, are you going? Are you going, or is Nora? Okay.
Come on, Barnes. You're not going?
Nora's going for me. Minimal effort.
I like it.
Yo, can I just view all of our posters? Here. Wait, Nora.
Like every year you have to like apply.
Yeah, if you're good, then everyone in decision making,